All right, on this week's episode of the Datsun, I attempt to put the engine in the car, run into some severe issues fitting it in the car, and realize that even though that engine's small, this car is way too small. And I get a radiator sent to us that will help us with the build, and we yet have to fit it to the car, so we just talk about it. Enjoy the video. I got this part of the dash off and the ashtray and this lower piece. So now I'm about to pull this fan assembly, and I believe that's the heater core out. So yeah, it is the heater core. We're about to pull that out. All right, it's all out. Gave us plenty more room. So now we can cut even more of the car. And let's see, I'm actually going to rip this insulation down so it doesn't light on fire. So, yep. Ah, my head. Now we can cut more. To make this fit better, I'm thinking, because I'm gonna build this whole firewall back. It'll all be custom and it'll look great. I think I'm gonna cut right there along where that weld is, up all the way to this lower ledge of this, and then just down. Cut that whole section out, and then how this part just sticks up, cut just that width out of here, about right there, in between, right where my fingers are. So then the engine will just sit right up to the very edge where the hood is. But I think I'm gonna start with just trimming this whole section out, and like I said, I'm gonna weld it all back. And I know I read a comment, someone was saying wait to cut stuff. I mean, this car is toast. This is junk. The guy, I said it before, the guy told me the rust was a 2.5 out of 10. Like 2.5% of the car is left out of 10. I don't know. Thing is junk. I've actually seen people use cars in better condition as parts cars. Not Datsuns, but Mustangs, Camaros, stuff like that. Stuff that I normally see. This right here, I have seen better cars actually get crushed than this. So the fact that there's someone, even me being me, even trying to rescue it is something. It could have went back as a restoration, but the Mustang under here, parts for it are dirt cheap. Like, you could rebuild the whole car out of a catalog for a couple grand. And I think it was one fender for this is in, like, I think it was 500 something, and it's even tiny. So that just shows, when you work with cars that aren't common, how expensive they can get. So we're chopping it. I mean, this thing's already a goner. It doesn't even have a title right now. I have to apply for one or something. It's from Alabama, and Alabama doesn't issue titles to old cars. So, but that makes it way more difficult for someone in Florida. So I'm gonna cut this real quick. The dash is free. Well, I think. I can't say it's the most difficult one I've done, but I can say it was awful. Just because most of the screws came out, but when they didn't, it was difficult. But I only broke two things taking it off. This first switch, because I didn't. Usually they just pull off. Well, I tried pulling it and it wouldn't. Turns out it's like spring loaded, and you just push it in, then turn it, and it comes off. And then I broke this shifter selector. But this should. There's a huge wiring harness. Ow! I've hit my head like at least 8 times today, and it's starting to make me mad. This car is made so small. Oh. That's freaky. sure there's something here still. Man, who would have thought? That on there I just ripped the entire sensor apart rather than it come off or come out of its location. I just ripped it apart. I got it out. Now we got plenty of room. So, driver gets to sit right next to an engine, transmission, and turbo. So it's the next day. I'm getting ready to cut a little square out there so that the top exhaust portion will have somewhere to go. But even then, we're too low. So, under here. Well, maybe not. I don't know, that's really low. So, we'll see. We're probably gonna have to build our own cross member, cut it, and just modify the center of it. But look at how high the transmission is in here. So, before, I mean, that's the drive shaft tunnel, and then you have the transmission tunnel up here. I mean, already there's gonna be a wall dividing you. And some of you guys had good idea about doing a mid-engine. This car is rusted. I know these Datsun 510s, like I said it before, I know they're cool and they can be restored, and they do look cool. This one is a rusted hunk of junk. So anything we do to it, it's not like we're cutting good steel. I mean, I could put a front-wheel drive, get a front-wheel drive car, and I know some Chevys had 5.3s, could put that entire thing in the back and have a 5.3 in the back with rear-wheel drive, or even the 3.8 supercharged Chevys, put that in the back, or a Cadillac North Star V8. There's a lot of options. Man, I keep burping now. A lot of options. The problem with this car is where the drive shaft is, or not drive shaft, where the crankshaft is on that line, you have so much more space below it. When a normal gas, car engine, the crankshaft is almost the lowest point. The only thing below that is the oil pan, and that's not that big, and it's designed to be lower in one section and then turn up where your cross member is. But I mean, you can see with a transmission, that won't be that bad. I can build that and turn it into a center console. It'll be kind of just regular, normal. But this is a wall between us, and you do lose about 2 inches of leg room at cutaway. So this is gonna be tight. But since we're fabbing all this, I mean, I could cut all this away and reshape it and redo it for another engine in the future. We could put a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder in it and just modify what we're doing. So none of this actually ruins the car, because I am not afraid to build it like this and then chop it all off and then redo it all. But since I started this build with this engine, we're gonna finish this build with this engine. And then if it is horrible, then we'll redo it. But yeah, just looking at it, I'm like, man, the engine's really low, but also high at the same time, because now it's under the cowl. this actually is roughly where it's gonna sit. And there's no room for a human. I know a lot of you guys think, well, yeah, you expected this. That, even though that is a V8, it is extremely small. It is a very compact engine and very small. If you sat this engine next to even a small block Chevy, it's so much smaller. But the Datsun, this Datsun is a itty bitty car. Like, you can tell it's a import. I think the hood off of like my brother's Mercury, or even that Lincoln out there, I think the hood is wider than the entire car. And the width isn't the problem, it is depth and height. This is made for a 4-cylinder. So everything that's cut on this car was already rusted, and with the exception of just that piece, but I kept it so I can weld it back in. But you guys tell me, should I maybe move on, maybe do a rat rod, like a open, no hood, like a T-bucket, put that engine in it, and then save this car and do it right? Because here's a picture. This picture is what I wanted to make the car look like. Actually restore the car, paint it black, and do those like similar to it, like a red stripe on the side, and make it actually a real enjoyable car, like nice interior with air conditioning and everything. And with this setup, it would be ridiculous. And yes, I could make it work for the video and drive it like this, cut this out and just put an open transmission and drive shaft next to me for the video, and the car would work, but it would never, that would be about it. So I know this whole thing was Datsun, 2-stroke in the Datsun, but now that it's like actually looking at it, I'm just wondering what you guys think. Would you be upset if I switched cars? Or would you be like, nope, that's saving the car, it's the right thing? Or should I just send it and you'll have be able to have 1 foot, only room for 1 foot? Personally, I would almost like to switch vehicles, because this car is awesome and it has a lot of potential. But I'll do what you guys want. If you guys want me just to send it and make this work, I will do that. But it won't be, this will be what it looks like. I will not even bother building a transmission tunnel. It is just, you've got about 12 inches of room here. So, for comparison, this is some earmuffs. That's like not even 2 earmuffs wide. Maybe 2 earmuffs wide. So, I'm at a dilemma. Because if this wasn't like a T-bucket rat rod, that turbo on the back and everything, this would look sweet, because you'd be able to actually see the engine. But, you'll be able to see it, because if I take it to a car meet, you'll open this up and it'll look exactly like that. But it'll just be a floorboard. So someone might be like, what the hell? But then if the oil line blows, it'll get all over me, burn me. If the drive shaft or transmission or any of this stuff explodes, it'll just kill me. So, who knows? Yeah, I'm just putting this back together so I can roll it out of the shop. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I'll rephrase it. I'm trying to put this back together. Yeah, I think that it would be better to use a different car, because I don't know. We'll just get there once this is put back together. We have our first sponsor for the Datsun, a company called Alloy Works. They make radiators, and I went through their website on the link they sent me and just searching it myself, and it looks like they have a massive assortment of radiators down to I mean, it was insane, crazy amount. But I was super happy to see that they have the SN95 radiators. You guys hear me talk about them all the time. It's 1994 to 2004 Mustang. I say it every time, it's the radiator of choice for me. Well, they had one, and I measured this car, and it looks like, obviously it's a custom car, and this radiator's not made for it, so it looks like it fits exactly in between where I need it to, though. So it's like the largest one. It was perfect. So they sent this to us for use with the 2-stroke swap. So we're gonna open this baby up. It says it's a 4-core aluminum radiator, and I believe it said it had a cooling fan system on it, which is everything we need if we can have it in one package. So let's see. I always need like 3 arms. It sent this, some stuff. Alright, looks awesome. Yeah, it's super thick. So, wow. Nice, my wife just gave me these. I ordered these like 2 weeks ago on Amazon. They're straight from China. They're for the Datsun, and it's what I wanted to do this week. I'll just save these for later. So this will be next week's video because it's already getting towards the end of the week, so there's no way I could start this project and get it done in today. So this radiator, though, this is the biggest one I've ordered yet. I've got one of these sitting in my Fairlane. I think it's a 3-core. I mean, this is huge. So the one thing that I actually like that some hot rodders might not like is there's no radiator cap on this. And I know that for like engine swaps, that kind of what is the word? Complicates things, because instead of just having an inlet or inlet outlet and then just your cap, you'll have like a tank that then goes to here, this port here, which I kind of like that. I don't know, it's what I'm used to. What in the world is that noise? But yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna take the fans off, but what I am gonna do is go put this in the Fairlane. This is nice. The other one I have, I like this style of clip here. The other one I have has like a big L bracket welded on it, and this fan fits on it, but the bottom can move a little bit, and I ordered it off Amazon. Well, this one, if you can see this tab, it's just very simple. A tab welded at an angle, and then this is at an angle, and it forces this up against the frame of the radiator to make it tight. So let's test fit this in the car. Actually, I guess we can open this up, see what is even in this. Oh, nice. The wiring. And I bet this is so it's a relay. This is probably a thermostat switch. Yeah, temperature sensor. So it comes with a temperature switch. So this is probably rated at, I don't know, just guessing, probably like 160, 185 range. So when your car reaches a temperature, this will plug into your coolant. When your coolant reaches a certain temperature, it's gonna send a signal to this, I believe, like ground or something. I don't know. And then it'll turn on automatically though. That's nice. I literally bought a brand new one of these for my radiator that I bought for my Fairlane because it didn't come with one. All right, let's test fit this thing. So when I ordered this radiator and measured, so we're gonna have to cut this off. What I wanted was the widest radiator that would fit in between these fenders. So this entire front of the car I wanted to be radiator because the headlights are just about an inch to half an inch wider than the beginnings of this inner fender area. So if I filled this entire thing with the radiator and then just trim this out, trim the opening here, it'll allow the most airflow to it with the largest like surface area of cooling that I could possibly get in this car. So 4-core radiator that's that wide, and the best thing that I like about these are, you know, this, remember this car is tiny, but the Mustang radiators are shallow. They're not like a truck radiator that's this tall. They're made to be compact and fit in cars. So I don't think it's gonna fit with this in the way, but we're just gonna grab it and test it right now. What are you barking at, dog? I mean, it's too tall. I just said it's shallow. This car, man. Jesus, there's a big spider on the ground. Oh my gosh. This car needs like a motorcycle engine. So, okay, let me recap. All right, so for the custom work, we would have to actually notch that square, which is completely fine because that side's rusted. The only problem we could run into is this tube being too low, but here's something I gotta bring up, which I already did before, is that I think we're switching cars. So I talked to my wife last night about this Datsun, and I was telling her, I said, just explaining how the car is really small. Even though the engine is really small, that engine is like the size of a 289 block. Like if you take the heads off of a small block Ford, a 302, 289, if you've ever seen them, they're in old Mustangs and stuff like that, and Crown Vics. This engine is the size of the block. It's that small. But the problem is this car is so tiny. So I talked to her, and I know where a couple rat rods are. They're in rough shape, but they're rat rods. Well, it's a deal where it's not just one. I was talking to the guy, and he goes, you got to buy all three. They're a package. Well, it just so happens that this is a project, and my brother's Crown Victoria burned to the ground. So I'm thinking 2 of them I could build and then sell one, because one of them has a Mustang 2 front end already swapped under it. And one of the other ones that isn't, we could put on my brother's Vic frame. So that's the next plan, is to potentially get one of those. There's a couple of different vehicles I'm looking at, but the Datsun, I think we're not giving up. We're moving on to something better. Plus this car, it does, I was looking it up. I'm not too familiar with Datsun stuff, but I got on a forum and it looked to me, just looks to me like the wagon was only made 3 years. For three years. And this car's birthday, this was made August of 1970. So if you were born in August of 1970, comment down below. If I ever give this car away, maybe I'll make it so parameter of the giveaway to enter is you have to be born August 1970. So you share the exact birthday with the car. But okay, let's move back to the radiator. All right, Chuck, this one's for you. And now you gotta take a drink. But all right, guys, so that radiator isn't fitting in that car, so for safe storage we're gonna put it in this car since it's already set up for it. So we're gonna film the installation going into this F100. Honestly, I haven't looked at the title or the VIN in so long, so I can't even remember if it's a 76 or 75. But we're gonna install that radiator in this F100 real quick. The radiator is in, and it fits like a glove in the F100. Just perfect. So, yeah, I made these brackets here and down here a long time ago to adapt a SN95 radiator into this truck. So it fits perfect. This week for the Datsun wasn't too eventful. Once you start getting into cars like this and parts start getting delayed, especially when they're ordered from so far away, a lot of the stuff has taken 2 weeks now to arrive. But you saw in this video, we just got some bearings that I had to order that can spin up to 16,000 RPMs is their limit. So we got the bearings and we're going to start the cooling, welding the pipes and drilling out those coolant passages on the plate that we made for next week's video. So next week we're diving back into the engine, and you'll probably see us talk a little more about the car, and hopefully we have a decision made. But thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned.